pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Cleese Bay people. We have some closed captioning announcements. Cheryl?
Hello, everyone. If you're joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you're joining us in person, we'll have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Muiz room. There will be an opportunity to speak during the meeting for public comment virtually and in person. We ask that all speakers today speak slowly and clearly. This helps with the accuracy of the closed captioning. If you're on Microsoft Teams, if you would like to speak when discussion has been open for public comment, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. This is the small hand button at the top of your screen. If you're calling in on the phone, you'll need to hit *5 to raise your hand. Once called upon, you'll need to hit *6 to unmute. If you have any questions during the meeting, please find me and let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. We have a couple proclamations to read. I'll start with the Crime Victims Rights Week. Whereas the term victim is more than just a label and has legal standing and protections, and whereas the Crime Victims' Rights Act passed in Montana and at the federal level guarantees victims the right to meaningfully participate and use their voice in the criminal justice process. And whereas victim service providers, advocates, law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and other allied professionals help survivors find their justice by upholding these rights. And whereas including and elevating the voices of survivors ensures that they are heard and seen while forging and sustaining community trust. And whereas engaging survivors creates responses and services that are meaningful, empowering, and centered on individual needs. And whereas survivors' experiences can serve as a catalyst for implementing innovative programs, shifting existing programs in new directions, and changing policies or practices that prevent survivors from accessing services or pursuing justice. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week provides an opportunity to recommit to listening to survivors of violence in every space where decisions are made that could impact them. And whereas the Missoula County Community Justice Department Crime Victim Advocate Division, the YWCA of Missoula, the University of Montana Student Advocacy Resource Center, Project Beacon of All Nations Health Center, and First Step are hereby dedicated to amplifying the voices of survivors and creating an environment where survivors have the confidence that they will be heard, believed, and supported. Now, therefore, we, the Missoula County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of April 6th through 12th, 2025 as Crime Victims' Rights Week, reaffirming Missoula's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime during Crime Victims' Rights Weeks and throughout the year, and expressing our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, safety, and peace. We ask that you volunteer, donate, or otherwise support the aforementioned agencies. Dated this third day of April, your Board of Missoula County Commissioners, Juanita Vero, Josh Lotnick, and Dave Strohmeyer.
Okay, our second proclamation is related to Sexual Assault Action Month. Whereas Sexual Assault Action Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and has public health and safety implications for the city and county of Missoula and beyond. And whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment harm our community, our friends, and our families, studies show 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men have been raped or experienced attempted rape. 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys experience child sexual abuse at the hands of an adult. And 13% of all college students experience rape or sexual assault through physical force, violence, and incapacitation. And whereas people of color, especially Native American women, experience violence, unwanted sexual contact, or abuse at a much higher rate than other demographics, and whereas statistics can tell us how many people are harmed, but talking to a survivor reveals the talking to a survivor reveals the true impact of this violence, loss of safety and trust. And whereas the goal of this month is not merely awareness, but prevention of sexual harassment, abuse, and assault, And whereas prevention means stopping sexual violence before it happens by changing norms that allow it to exist in the first place, ranging from attitudes, values, and behaviors to laws, institutions, and social norms. And whereas prevention is everyone's job and all of us can help create safe environments by intervening to stop behavior, promoting healthy attitudes and relationships, and believing survivors and connecting them to resources. And whereas we strongly support the efforts of national, state, and local sexual assault prevention and response programs in their efforts to create safe and healthy communities, now, therefore, we, Andrea Davis, Mayor of the City of Missoula, Juanita Vero, Josh Slotnick, and David Strohmeyer, Missoula County Commissioners, Seth Bodner, President of the University of Montana, and Elizabeth Kaminga, President of the Associated Students of the University of Montana, do hereby continue to support the Student Advocacy Resource Center of the University of Montana, the YWCA of Missoula, Project Beacon of All Nations Health Center, First Step at Providence St. Patrick Hospital, the Make Your Move Project of Missoula Public Health, law enforcement agencies, including the Missoula Police Department, Missoula County Sheriff's Office, and University of Montana Police Department, the Missoula County Community Justice Department, the Special Victims Unit of the Missoula County Attorney's Office, the City Attorney's Office, and communities across the country in playing an active role to prevent sexual violence. Along with the United States government and the state of Montana, we do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Sexual Assault Action Month in the city of Missoula and Missoula County, signed by the Mayor of Missoula, President of the University of Montana, and your Missoula County Commissioners.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay, public claims list received as of March 19th, 2025 to March 25th, 2025 by the Commissioner's Office total $1,362,681.67. We have 5 hearings today, so we'll begin with the resolution with Sam Scott.
Thank you. Sam Scott with the Clerk and Recorder's Office. Today I'm here with a petition to abandon a utility easement that runs across Lot 5A of Meadowlands Lot 5, also known as 7890 Thornton Drive. Ron with PCI is here, and he submitted this petition to our office in consultation with the planning office as well. Ron can give a little bit more of a background on the actual use of this utility easement, or rather lack thereof, over the years, and maybe why it was created and all that stuff. But ultimately, we published notice of today's hearing in the paper twice, notified the affected landowners that we determined to be, sorry, let me get rid of that, the Hanson Properties LLC, the actual landowners of Lot 5A, Randy and Sherry Lohman, and then TA Operating LLC. TA Operating LLC did not provide their consent to the abandonment of this easement, but as Ron will explain, the easement actually serves no benefit at the moment. And otherwise, there's really not a solid process for abandoning an easement like this, and so we're using sort of a modified road petition process. There is no need for a second hearing or a road viewing or anything like that, so it's just today's hearing. So maybe after a little bit of context provided by Ron, we can shift it over to you for a decision.
Thanks so much. Come on up, Ron.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron Ewert with PCI. So the Meadowlands subdivision, it's right off of Thornton Drive, up toward the Y. So in the early 1990s, when this subdivision was being planned, there was a Northwest Energy gas line that went through what is now Lot 5A. But since then, that line has been retired, and the gas actually comes in off Thornton Lane to serve these 2 properties. We also had ELM utility locators out there, and they said, yeah, there's nothing in here but this dead gas line. The real estate person with Northwestern Energy says, yeah, we don't need the line, we don't need the easement, we don't need, it's okay with us if we abandon it. And there's no other easements in it. We did speak with all the adjacent landowners, and everybody's okay if we abandon it. As you can see, it cuts right across the middle of the lot, thereby making the lot less versatile as far as development potential and value. So anyway, with that, we thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Ron. Wait, I guess I'm a little confused. Is the folks to the north did not want it to be abandoned, but is there any particular reason why?
No, well, so there's 3 landowners. There's the landowner that owns the property, and he's okay with it going away. The property to the south, they're okay with it going away because they get their gas right there in Thornton Drive. And so again, that easement dead ends on the north or on the east boundary of the property. Now, there's a big, huge property there, and that's Travel America. I asked them to sign it. I went to the store there and spoke with the manager on 3 different occasions, and each time, well, the second 2 times, she said, well, it's a corporate. She doesn't know when we're going to get back. We talked about that early on, that sometimes it's hard to get a letter or get any response from a big corporation like this. But they never used this easement. They probably get their gas from somewhere else, but they would never get their gas from this easement anyway, because that's all been retired. The gas comes in another way. So it does not affect them whatsoever.
And you can see on this exhibit here as well, the city sewer main jogs along up to where that easement would dead end right here, and then cuts southeast away along the other property. So furthering the point that it wouldn't go through
doesn't.
Lot 5A.
Yep, thank you.
So are we just contemplating vacating the easement on this lot
5A.
5A?
Yes.
Or is it, okay, just so I'm clear, so the easement extends beyond lot 5A, correct?
So the petition we received is just to abandon the easement as shown here on the plat of Meadowlands Lot 5 over Lot 5A. The original easement being established on the original Meadowlands extends further down through Lot 6.
Is that still there? Does that still exist through
So-
Lot 6?
believe so, yeah.
So there would need, if that portion of the easement was ever to be vacated, that would have to be petitioned by that property owner, or?
For the Lot 6 portion?
Yes.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I believe, I mean, that's along Thornton Drive, which is where they get all of their utilities, enter the property from Thornton Drive.
Yeah, I'm just thinking hypothetically, if as part of a cleanup task, just to remove something that's not being used anymore, that would have to be originate with that property owner. We're not just
Correct.
doing a blanket vacation that crosses multiple property lines where some are not petitioning. Okay.
Can you go back to the slide with the green arrows on it that shows the line? There we go. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Ron? Okay. Is there anyone else who has comments on this?
Okay, I would move that we approve the petition to vacate a 20-foot utility easement crossing Lot 5A of Meadowlands Lot 5 as presented.
Second, is there any further discussion or public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Lana McLarty with another resolution.
Thank you, Commissioners. Today I have before you a resolution to remove a blanket utility easement in development park parcels. So just an overview of this, we have an interlocal agreement with the City of Missoula regarding this matter. The process that we determined to follow to remove the easement, staff findings, and then the resolution and recommendation. So here's a map of the, these are county-owned parcels in the development park. And the two parcels that have blanket utility easements on them are Butler Creek 1 East in brown over on the left-hand side, and then 2 East in green. So Missoula County entered into an interlocal agreement with the City of Missoula in 2023 for the transfer of ownership of the park parcels and stormwater parcels on the previous map. As part of that agreement, the City of Missoula will accept ownership of those two park parcels that I identified, Butler Creek Park and Kestrel Park. In order to transfer ownership, the city and the county are working together to remove the blanket utility easements from those parcels. So the process that we're following to remove the easements was first to perform a utility locate on the parcels, which was completed in December of 2024 and this past January. We notified all utility companies of our intent to remove the easements in February, as well as notified all the property owners in the Missoula Development Park subdivision. Today, we are holding a public hearing for consideration of removing the blanket utility easements. And the last step, if the resolution is adopted, that we will link the resolution to the subdivision documents in lieu of filing an amended plat to the subdivision. So after performing the utility locates, we identified that both parks are platted with designated and defined utility right-of-way and drainage easements, which I'll point out some examples on a map following this. That Butler Creek Park does not have any utilities located outside of these designated and defined easements, but that Kestrel Park has a buried electrical line and a buried communication line located outside of the designated and defined easements. So I have insets of the plat map for this subdivision. And let's see. So the blanket utility easements that we are requesting to be removed are identified. So on Kestrel, it says Park 2, 9.69 acres UE, which is the utility easement that covers the entire 9.69 acres of the parcel. The designated and defined utility easements that will remain in place that we are not addressing. An example would be this 20-foot wide existing electrical easement that will remain an easement on the plat. County staff did a survey of these two parcels and identified for Kestrel Park the electrical and communication line utilities that were outside of the designated easements. So that electrical easement is right kind of in the middle. It says meter box. So just identifying where those utilities exist. And so our resolution is that the blanket utility easements that cover the entire parcels on Butler Creek Park and Kestrel Park are to be removed but it will not include the designated and defined easements on each parcel or the utilities currently located outside of the designated and defined easements. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer, and otherwise I have a motion.
Thank you.
Uh,
Is there anyone that wants to speak to this? Was it a great surveying experience? Okay.
Lana, refresh my memory. Why is it that we are not amending the plat and just attaching the resolution, I guess, to it?
I'm going to look to John and Andrew to help answer this
Can we
question.
go back to that slide with
Yes.
that sentence, the last sentence on it?
So the first thing I want to point out is that, as Sam Scott stated, there's not a process for removing utility easements. The Subdivision and Plating Act contemplates it, and specifically states that utilities that are already there may remain, but it doesn't say that there's a way that thou shalt do it. And in order to amend the plat, we would have to do a significant amount of surveying, and tying the resolution to the plat such that anybody who looks at the plat will also see this resolution accomplishes the same goal with less staff time and less money. And that's exactly how the last utility easement that you abandoned will be memorialized also, rather than a new plat.
Okay, less time and money accomplishing the same thing. Thank you for that, John.
Government efficiency.
Yes. Ready for
Okay. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Flana.
Okay, if no one has any comment, I move to approve a resolution to remove blanket utility easements on parcels Butler Creek Park 1 East and Kestrel Park 2 East in the Missoula Development Park subdivision.
Second, is there any further discussion or public comment? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, and it's the Flana show. Okay.
Okay, so the next two items I'll present, they kind of tie together, but I'll present on the first one. And then we'll just segue into the second one after that. So we have received a request for the use of TIF to reimburse Missoula Rural Fire District for construction of an ambulance bay at station number 4, which is in the Bonner Mill, Tiffin. Here's an elevation drawing of the proposed ambulance bay that will be added to that fire station. So just a few things about Missoula Rural Fire District. Their boundaries, they cover about 84 square miles in Missoula County. And on the eastern edge, their eastern boundary goes to Tura Road and then up Highway 200 to mile marker 11. They receive an average of around 10 calls per day. And the closest ambulance station to the area is located at the intersection of Russell Street and Mount Avenue. And currently, station number 4 provides fire and advanced life support response to the Bonner, Milltown, West Riverside, Tura area. And if they add an ambulance with the ambulance bay, adding this service would decrease transport times for definitive care and allow them to serve back-to-back calls with necessary equipment. They have funds to purchase the ambulance, which is around $380,000 from their general fund. And they are requesting that we use TIF to construct the ambulance bay that will serve to house the ambulance so that it's properly stored and maintained. A timeline for the construction is that they would go to bid in April on the project, select a contractor in May, begin construction in July, with construction completed in October of this year. After reviewing the application, staff determined that it does meet a purpose and a need for the area. Current response times to the area include an additional 15 minutes to arrive from Midtown Missoula, depending on location. The Bonner Mill site has around 650 employees, as well as over 4,000 concert goers to the amphitheater during its seasonal use. And that there also is still open space, so development potential at the Bonner Mill site for more industrial uses, and that an ambulance bay is necessary for the proper storage and maintenance of an ambulance. Looking at the guiding documents for decision making, we determined that it does meet Missoula County's mission, vision, values, and goals, the comprehensive development plan for the Bonner Mill TIFID, and the Missoula County growth policy. In particular, the comprehensive development plan for the Bonner Mill TIFID identifies emergency services, facilities, and equipment as an infrastructure deficiency in the area. And its goal is to address these infrastructure deficiencies. So a brief overview of the financial capacity of this district. Currently, the Bonner Mill TIFID has around $1.5 million cash. The annual revenue is around $500,000, and the annual expenses are around $400,000. And we do have to put aside around $300,000 as a cash reserve for the debt service in that district. So the remaining cash available would be $1.3 million. We are proposing to use $282,303 of that for the ambulance bay construction, which would still leave a balance in that district of a little over $1 million. So our conclusion is that it is a valid use of TIF funds per statute, and that the additional safety services provided could increase development potential in the area, thus increasing the tax base and the potential for job creations. And we do see that an ambulance would benefit the entire area, the Bonner Mill TIFID district, as well as the general public and community. And I have a recommended motion. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Chief Finley, did you want to come up and add anything?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. First off, I'd just like to mention my thanks to Flan and Andrew, who have been a big part of our process in this application. I guess just for clarification's sake, we are not going to initially start off by transporting people other than in an overflow type of an event for Missoula Emergency Services. We have a very good relationship with them and want to foster and continue that relationship. But the ambulance will be available. In fact, it would be somewhat neglectful if we weren't to plan for something in the future.
And
Yes.
what would describe the scenario, like how it works in the future?
Well, history would show that private service ambulances are having a difficult time funding themselves and finding employees that are willing to maintain. And so more and more we're seeing in the fire industry, fire-based transport. And so we've geared our employees to the point of advanced life support, and we continue to provide that service through our fire stations as it is. But we definitely feel in conjunction with our neighbors that the best course of action is to plan for the future. And part of our planning process involves an ambulance, more than one, in fact. You know, a single ambulance doesn't really do the fire district as a whole much good as multiple ambulances when it comes down to transport, of course. And so we do have additional funding in part of our capital improvement process to do so. Obviously, we're a little bit limited right now on space, and we're working on that as well. And that's the reason for this initial ask of the TIF funds. That said, the clarification, the other point of clarification that I would like to provide is we do own the ambulance now. It was delivered to us a couple weeks ago. We have applied for a AFG grant in order to complement that assistance to firefighters grant, sorry, in order to complement that with all the necessary gear. As you're aware, there's a lot of federal funding that's up in the air at this point, and so we're waiting on some of that stuff as well. But we see it very valuable in multiple areas around multiple situations around the area, including wildland responses, hazmat responses, which is part of that station's responsibility is hazmat responses. But mass casualty incidents and, God forbid, active shooter type of incidents or something like that. Additionally, I would say that Missoula Emergency Services definitely is complicated from time to time with the too many calls at one time. And our Station 4 is certainly part of that process as well. And we have what we refer to as collision calls of back-to-back calls. And so this would give us another opportunity with responders to deal with more than one emergency or multiple victims at one scene, whatever the case may be. So, and I put together a couple of points that related to the TED. I think as the TED focuses on attracting value-adding industries, ensuring adequate emergency response services is critical. Reliable EMS structure can make the area more appealing to businesses and workers, supporting the TED's economic development goals. And as the TED focuses on value-adding industry, ensuring the safety and health of the workforce is a direct benefit to those industries. And we enjoy our working relationship with the TIFTED that we are currently in and the others that we serve. So unless there's other questions, I will go back to Sid.
Commissioner Strohmeyer has some questions.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for that. Just for my own information, going back to not necessarily how things will play out with ambulance service in the future, but like right now, someone has a cardiac arrest at a concert or something out there on the mill side or in the Bonner area, and Messy isn't slammed with other calls. How does that work? Would you still respond first with the ambulance and then they would transport, or?
Well, let me give a two-part answer to that one, maybe. In the case of the Kettle House Brewery, for instance, as you mentioned, if someone has a cardiac event out there, we have been speaking with the general manager to determine whether or not there is an opportunity for us to provide some coverage at that type of an event. And so in that case, yes. In a case where there is where the Messy ambulance is available and there is a cardiac event someplace on the mill grounds or that area, we would still rely on Messy as the primary transportation of that person, and our folks would deliver initial care, and Messy would be responsible for the transport and to definitive care, potentially with our folks on board in that ambulance as well.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or wish to speak to this? Do you have any other questions?
I do have a little clarification, some background
Thank you.
information that I forgot to share earlier. So the Missoula Rural Fire District did submit an application for the use of TIF funds in 2018. And at the time, that was, the application was for help with construction cost of the new station. But the proposal at the time was that developers in the mill, property developers, were building a new facility, and that Missoula Rural Fire would lease part of that building. And the construction costs that they requested to be paid for would be the interior improvements. And at the time, that request was not approved because the building was not going to be owned, but leased by the fire department. And since that time, the station has been constructed and is fully owned by the fire department. So since it is a public facility, it does qualify for the use of TIF.
Thanks for doing that research.
No problem.
Now it's coming back to me. I vaguely remember all of that. So, okay, thanks. And this seems like a good use of TIF funds and a good addition to the community. So I move to approve use of $282,302.73 in tax increment finance funds to reimburse Missoula Rural Fire District for construction of an ambulance bay at Station 4 in the Bonner Mill, Tiffin.
Second, is there any further discussion or public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so I'm going to roll right into the next item, which is tied to this first one. So now that you have approved the use of TIF funds for reimbursement for construction of the ambulance bay, I have before you the interlocal agreement for the use of TIF. So the agreement, it just lays out the conditions for the reimbursement to Missoula Rural Fire Department. The term for this agreement is for 1 year. Missoula Rural Fire District will administer the project, including design, contracting, and construction. And since they are also a government entity, they have to follow all of the same requirements that we would for the use of expending taxpayer money. So the county will reimburse them up to $282,302.73 in TIF, which we have the cash available for. And Missoula Rural Fire District will submit monthly invoices for reimbursement for this. And this way, they do not have to seek a loan or other funding to pay for the project.
Thank you. And Chief Finley, do you have anything to add to this?
Commissioners, Paul Finley from Missoula Fire. Nothing additional necessarily to add. We are prepared to provide the billing monthly and appreciate the approval of the request.
Thanks. Any further comments from anyone? Okay, do you have a motion?
I do. I would move to approve an intralocal agreement between Missoula Rural Fire District and Missoula County for construction of an ambulance bay at Missoula Rural Fire District Station 4.
Second, any further discussion or public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Fana. Katie Reeder with the Cold Ice Family Transfer.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Katie Reeder, planner with the Office of Planning, Development, and Sustainability. Today, I will be presenting the Cold Ice Family Transfer. This exemption is requested by Lawrence and Pamela Coldice. This family transfer is located at 11700 Fred Lane, Frenchtown, Montana, northwest of the Y interchange. The property is zoned agricultural rural residential. The parcel is approximately 9.8 acres and has the land use designation rural residential and agriculture per the 2019 Missoula area land use element, which has a recommended density of 1 dwelling unit per 2 acres. Here are the existing conditions of the property. The property is currently developed with an existing single-family residence and a couple of outbuildings. This is where Lawrence and Pamela reside. The claimants would like to transfer 4.9 acres to their adult son, Colin Coldice, and the applicants will retain the remaining 4.9 acres. The recipient intends to develop one single-family residence on the family transfer parcel, which would be parcel number 2. The applicants will continue to reside on the existing lot, parcel 1, with no further development planned. Here's what the proposal looks like with parcel 1, Lawrence and Pamela's home to the north part of the property, and the family transfer parcel, parcel 2, here at the south half of the property. Part of the process for family transfers is sending out the application to various Missoula County agencies for comments and reviews. The Missoula County Public Works Engineering Division noted that the Sunset West Water District has strict water rights, prohibiting additional service connections. As a result, the new parcel will need to secure an alternative water source, such as a private well. The Missoula County Environmental Health Division will require a sanitation review or the applicable exemption since the parcel is less than 20 acres. In reviewing this request, there were no rebuttable presumptions or evasion criteria identified to indicate evasion. This is the most appropriate exemption to use for what the family wants to accomplish. Therefore, we recommend approval. I have Pamela Coldice here with us today. Pamela, will you mind coming to the podium, please?
Then I think you have to hit that button so the light turns green. There you go.
I'm going to ask you a few questions for the record. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Did you buy the property with the intent of dividing it?
No.
Do you or your transferee intend to transfer the property within the next year?
No.
Have you talked to anyone at the county about going through subdivision review?
No.
Will the property be developed?
No.
Will the recipient of the property be residing on the property?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And Pamela, can you just state your name again for the record, please?
Pamela Coldice.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Again, we recommend approval. With the motion on the screen before you today, commissioners, here's your language.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, Pamela? Okay. Any other comments in the room or online? Okay.
Okay, I would move that the request by Lawrence and Pamela Coldice to utilize the family transfer exemption as presented in the exemption application and affidavit be approved.
Second, any further discussion or public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good luck. You raised them right. Okay, I don't think we have any other business. We're adjourned.